Commanders, welcome back to Build Positively, the series where we track our gold, training materials, power cores and T4s from the past month to refine our strategy for the month ahead. Staying efficient with resources is key in Marvel Strike Force, so let's break down the numbers and make a plan to keep progressing without wasting a single drop. Let's get into it. Alright, so we are going to start this the same way we always do, which is to say that Marvel Strike Force, this is your game, it is your rules. If you want to build a character up that isn't meta, that is completely fine. This guide is mostly aimed at if you want to stay within the current meta of the game. So what does building positively mean? It is the act of growing our roster while staying in the constraints of the game and being completely free to play. And when I say free to play, that doesn't mean free to play whenever you want, like some other games where you can just play for like 15 minutes. This is fairly involved, but free to play as in you are not going to put a single penny of money from your back pocket into the game at all. What do we need to know? Well, to do this, we need to know our resource income. That requires a little bit of tracking to do and some character release schedules. But luckily, I do this based off of my account every single month for you. So hopefully you can get roughly around the same results. And with that information, I can come up with a strategy of how to best build my characters. And who is this for, you might ask? Well, I've got here mostly mid to end game players, and that's because that is where I am. I am post Mephisto, post Odin. So I have done all of that and I am now just cruising along at the end game. I am also at level 105, but that doesn't mean that you can't use this strategy as well. Even at the very beginning of the game, you can use this strategy and still come out on top. So let's have a bit of a look at our resource income, shall we? And we're going to start off with a bit of a gold income recap. So in October 2024, we bought in 288,734,820 gold to my account personally. Again, this is all free to play. With the 31 days in October, that would have given me an average gold to spend per day of 9.3 million. November was the first month that we actually broke the 300 million a month in gold income over. That was a 30-day month, so that actually gave me 10 million gold a day to spend if I wanted to. And December followed suit, another 300 million gold month. So but because of the extra day in December, the 31 days, that only gave us 9.6 million gold. And January, another hoofing month of over 300 million. So 3 on the bounce. 31 days in January gave us 9.720 million. But what did February look like? For those of you interested, this is how I keep tally of what my gold income is. We start with a starting balance, which I take at the reset. So that is when your store resets and the golden opportunity milestone resets. For me, that at current, that is 9 PM in the evening. So I take my balance. I then can take my gold spent. So this is my balance from the previous day here, the starting balance. The gold spent you can find in the golden opportunity milestone. It will tell you how many milestone points you have earned, and that is how much gold you have spent. And then the finishing balance is what you end up with at that 9 o'clock reset. And if you take the finishing balance away from, or the starting balance away from the finishing balance and add in your gold that you have spent during the day, that will give you your total gold income. Now, I am going to make all these spreadsheets available for you guys to copy and do yourself in the description down below. And you will see here that in February, it was a 28-day month. We earned 273 million gold over the course of that 28-day month. So another 9 million gold a day would have put us near enough to another 300 million gold month had this been a not a shorter month. Now, I am not the first content creator to come up with this idea, and massive shout out to fellow content creator, All Spark cluster member, Rage Gaming. He was tracking this. He's been doing this for the past year and a bit, and I've been doing it for just over the year now. But he has been tracking his gold income and basically tracking the health of the game where gold is concerned. This is his video from this month, so go and check that one out. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. But just so we've got some metrics to go against here, you can see here, this is the 2025. So in January, he had 272 million gold come into his account, and in February, 286 million gold. And as you can see, our figures are not that far off each other. A lot of that can be down to just RNG of certain orbs that you get, the gold orbs and stuff. That can literally dictate that little bit of RNG in the change of gold. Training income in January was very good, 207,606,890, and that is gold's worth of training materials. This is done in a very similar way. So when the golden opportunity milestone resets, I usually do my character leveling right then. So after that is done and I've recorded that sort of gold spent and that, I then go and do my character leveling. And this is very similar. You basically take the colored training materials, you mark out how many you've got on one day, and then the very next day when you do that, you can then take what you've spent in training resources, put your final figure in, and that'll give you what training resources you have coming into your account. And this is the strategy that we came up with in the very first build positively, leveling characters from level 70 to 100 from level 1, costing you 23.4 million gold. And with that in mind, in January, we could have leveled 8.87 characters. But what did February's look like? Well, I've got to admit, I made a bit of a boo-boo in February because there was one day that I didn't actually manage to... I got a bit overzealous and I didn't actually take into account the training materials I'd spent on the character. I'm pretty sure I took Phoenix, Omega Red Phoenix Force, from level 1 to 100 in one go, but I do not have the figures for what that training resource or for what, what I used with that. So this is going to be slightly off, but 138,826,185 is the total gold cost of training materials that I have logged for February. It's possibly going to be a little bit more, I reckon. Around about the 150, 160 mark is where it's going to be. So again, we have the framework that we've came up with to bring characters up to level 100. But based on that 138 million gold, we could have bought up 5.93 characters in February. Next up, we're going to track our T4 income. Again, this is done in a very similar manner. So you take what you start with, you put how many T4s you spend, and then you put your finishing balance in, and that'll give you your T4 income for the day. And as you can see, I have overspent on T4s in February. I spent 4,300 T4s in February and only earned 3,202. So now I am back in saving mode on T4s, trying to save up for doing the Liberty team, and more importantly, also the Starjammer team. So what could we do with the T4 income from February? Well, it cost you 840 T4s to completely level a character with all T4s. So the characters we could totally level with T4s in February was 3.81, a very small amount of characters. But I do have some thoughts behind this as well. Power core income, this is always going to be a little bit different. Now, to be completely and utterly transparent with you, I currently sit within the top 10 to 20 of my arena shard. Now, this is completely doable by every single player, no matter how old your shard is. I've had members of my Alliance Jetson squad blocked. Massive shout out to you guys. who have now got Odin and have got Mephisto. So they've done that Dark Dimension 7 and Dark Dimension 8 run. And they are now also in that place where they are drawing in between 450 and 500 power cores every single day, because they are sitting within the top 20 of their arena shard. And some of those are in much older arena shards than what I am in. But let's take a look at the power core income. So here we go. You can see here that actually February was a month where there were no characters that I pulled for in power core orbs. So my total power core spent was actually quite low, 5,750. But my total income was 20,195. It's a lot of power cores, and you can see here daily that it does fluctuate slightly dependent on when we get like free claims, so on and so forth that we get. They come in quite often. But yeah, it goes to show, and this again, link to this spreadsheet will be down in the description below for you to use as well. So now that we've looked at all our resources, let's take a look at what the character releases look like so far this year. And so here we have the character release schedule. And again, I can put this for you down in the description below. Please let me know if you would like this. But basically, last month we had got down as far as Patriot. That was where we, that was the newest characters, but we obviously didn't have a date for some of those. Now we know that we have the new Starjammer team. So we have Groot and Rocket. They're the reworks that we've got to work on. And then Lilandra, which has a very unique method of unlocking, where most people are going to be, the spenders aren't going to be massively ahead of the non-spenders where getting Lilandra is concerned. We've got Howard the Duck, who came out yesterday, the 5th of March, for his 675 power core orb, or offers if you do spend money. And then we have Havoc still to come. And there is one more who I haven't put on here, which I have put on a future slide, which is Null, because when Battle World returns this month, hopefully there will be a vast number of us that will be unlocking Null. And one of the most important things to know where character release schedule is the average days between each character release. And so we track that, the average days between each paid release. So if you were someone who was coring every single character and getting it, you have 10.375 days between one character coming out and the next character coming out on average to be able to do that. Our average days between releases free to play, so that's free to play event to free to play event, is 21.33 days. That has come down from last month. Last month we were up around about the 11-day mark for the paid releases and about the 22-23 mark for the free to play. Now I do have a theory, and this theory is getting more and more and more cemented in my mind now, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. So our training income in February was 138,826,185, which would allow us as free to play to build characters up to level 100, 5.93. Let's call it 6. Now if we look at the character release schedule, the new characters added this month would be Groot, Rocket, Lilandra, Howard the Duck, Havoc, and Null. That's going to be like your March releases. Kind of funny, isn't it, that the March releases match up to the number of training materials that we have got in the previous month. Again, I want to know in the comments down below what you think about this. Am I going mad, or is there some form of reality to this? And so I really like this picture, this strategy. You got to think about a strategy, you got to plan a strategy, and then you got to manage a strategy. So we think about our strategy all the time, and we are that comes from doing all this data collection, the gold income collection, the power core income collection, all of that. That is thinking about our strategy. Planning our strategy is what we did in the very first Build Positively video, and I will link that up in this top corner here. And now we are just managing our Build Positively strategy every single month. So what is my character building strategy going to look like for March 2025? And I want to welcome you guys back to the car showroom. And some of you might go, BPG, why are you sat in a car showroom? Well, this is because much like a car, characters in Marvel Strike Force depreciate as soon as they are released. And the same goes for a car. When you buy a car and you take it off the forecourt, it has immediately depreciated in value. Characters in Marvel Strike Force are exactly the same. So we need to be making sure that we are building characters as quickly as we possibly can while still being sensible. So this is the framework that we came up with. We came up with this whole, when the new character came out, level first 5 days, we take that character from level 1 to level 100. And then the next 10 days between character releases, we can do whatever we want with those. Obviously, if you're just working with the free to play one, you could argue that we could leave this a little bit longer still, even more. Our average days per month is 30 days. So we've got to work on this times 3, which gives us a rough training material cost of around about 160 million gold. So even with a month like last month, where it was a shorter month and the training materials seemed less, we still probably had enough to continue on this path right here. Our gold income in February, as I said, was 273 million gold. With the 28 days, that gave us 9.75 million gold to spend per day if we wanted to. But again, this all falls nicely in this. Our training materials was 138 million. Like I said, that was with my error. I reckon it was around about the 150, 160 million when I had back in that 23 million from doing Omega Red Phoenix Force from 1 to 100, which is pretty sure what I did. So that would also cover our 53 million per week or per 10 days over that course of the month. Now, one thing I have been asked is the level 100 to 105 and how I'm approaching that. And basically, now that I am level 105, I have been doing my arena team as I've been going up. So as I've been going up the levels, I have been putting one level on each of my arena characters. There are 6 of them that I use, which is Apocalypse, Mephisto, Odin, Thanos Endgame, Gore, and Gladiator. So as I have been leveling, as my commander level has gone up, I have been leveling those characters. But as you can see here, we can still do the whole level to 100 and then use this 6 million and still do your levels 1 to 104 and then maybe 105 plus something for a few other days. So we're still covered with this. So what did I propose in last month's video? What did I say I was going to do? Well, I said I was going to finish building my Immortal X-Men. So I just had Polaris to finish off there. And then it was Phoenix and Omega Red Phoenix Force, and then going on to the Mighty Avengers, being Invisible Woman and Vision and Scarlet Witch. And then Scarlet Witch Zombie was going to come into the mix, and I still had Captain America Sam Wilson to do, War Machine, and Peggy Carter. And I was looking at spending 204 million golds worth of training materials last month. What did I actually do though? So with that training material cost of 138 million that I bought in last month, what I actually did was the following. So I did Polaris, I did the Phoenix Force exactly as I said I was going to do. I then finished building out my Mighty Avengers. I built Scarlet Witch Zombie. I have taken Thanos Endgame, Gore, Gladiator, Odin, and Mephisto and Apocalypse all to level 105 now. Now, technically, I haven't spent that 9.8 million gold because I didn't take them from level 100 to level 105 over the course of last month. But I didn't include that in the February totals, so I have included it now just for full transparency. And then we've taken Captain Sam up to level 95, gear tier 18, and that rounded out the 28 days of February. A total of 206 million golds worth of training materials spent, which obviously does put me in a deficit here. But luckily, I have been saving some training materials anyway over the course of the past few months by building positively. And Omega Red Phoenix Force is coming to tell you that the more you look back, the more you miss what's in front of you. And this is never truer in Marvel Strike Force. If you are building characters from older teams, you are going to miss out on the characters in the newer teams. And that is why it is very important to get a stopping off point and just wiping your slate clean exactly like I did when I started this whole Build Positively series. All right, so what does March's build strategy look like for me? What am I planning to do in March? And so here we have it. We are already taking War Machine up. We're currently at level 95, gear tier 18. And we are going to be putting War Machine up to level 100 tonight. We're then going to work on Peggy Carter all the way up to gear tier 19 and level 100. Falcon, Joaquin and Patriot, don't know when we are going to unlock them, but as soon as we do, we will start working on them. So that team is then complete and done. However, in the meantime, we can work on Groot and Rocket. Both of those we're going to take to level 100 in gear tier 19. We also have Lalandra. And again, at the moment, Howard the Duck and Havoc. Don't know when we're going to get those. I do also plan to take my first 5 characters outside of my arena team, which are on my tier list, which again, I will leave a link to in the description down below. But my tier list of characters, I'm going to work on those guys for 105. And we have the big man Null, who is going to change the meta completely, I'm sure. So he will be a insta build up to level 100 and gear tier 19. So total training cost of 289,621,000 golds worth of training mats we need to do this. Will we be able to do it in March? Will the training mats allow us to do this? We will find out. But I am sure I will get somewhere close, and you'll need to come back next month to see what we've done. Okay, and so just so you can see that I am doing exactly as I said, here is what I do. So this is all the newest characters that have come out this year that are all hearted. Just how I work. Some of you guys might work a bit different. So here Captain Sam is at gear tier 19 at level 100. And War Machine, as I said, is currently at level 95, gear tier 18. He will go up to 100 later on when the reset happens. You can see here, though, that we are working on this, and the rest of my roster from last year where we were building positively is still very similar. That wraps up this month's Build Positively. Let me know in the comments, how did your resource gains compare? Are you saving up for something big, or did you go all in on a recent release? One thing I have noticed, as I said earlier, is that we tend to earn our training materials about a month before we really need to spend them. So planning using those training materials is definitely key. Staying smart with our spending is how we keep progressing without regrets. So if you found this helpful, hit that like button. Subscribe for more content, and as always, stay positive.